Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Florida Aviation Network. My name is Lori Bradner, and we are broadcasting live and in the clear from Sun and Fun 52. I am so excited today to have our guest with me, and I want to welcome Captain Teresa Beebe from the Civil Air Patrol. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, I sure appreciate you coming in, and
definitely.
I want you to know Civil Air Patrol is something that's near and dear to my heart as someone who was involved here at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. So this is perfect, and I was so excited to have you on.
Excellent.
So Captain Beebe, tell us a little bit. I always like to start with your background.
Okay.
Because everybody's got a story.
Sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved with Civil Air Patrol?
Yep. So I was a cadet. I call it back in the dark ages, so late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. I resemble that remark. Absolutely.
And totally changed my life. I was very introverted prior to going in, really didn't take leadership opportunities. But then I was only in for about a year and a half before I went off to college. They didn't have a squadron there. But I went from being introverted to being confident. And
where did you grow up?
Indiana.
Okay, and so this was through your high school? Where did you,
nope.
I mean, how did you encounter Civil Air Patrol?
So our squadrons, there was an air show, and the squadron was out there flight line marshaling. We were a very small town, and they just brought it into the airport, and they were flight line marshaling, and I got hooked and came in and joined the squadron, and we met at that airport.
Okay.
So, and they gave me leadership opportunities. I was a communications cadet. And,
nice.
Yep. And so went through leadership academies and carried that into college and started getting active almost as soon as I got to college, started getting active in organizations.
Wow. So, okay, we're not going to ask how many years because you never ask a lady their age ever.
Definitely not.
But you've been involved, obviously, with Civil Air Patrol for a very, very long time.
So I had a long gap in there.
You did,
until my son joined. And so I took some time back. I'm a homeschool parent. And I took some time off, let it be his activity, and he walked out one day. He said, "Mom, it's time. We need some help in the squadron." And that was 4 years ago. And I came in, and we joke that it's an addiction, it's a habit. So I haven't looked back. It's amazing the impact that we can make. It's been amazing to see what my son, the growth that he's made, but all the cadets that we have in our wing and here in the nation, to see the impact that we're making on them.
And that is awesome. And Captain Beebe, you are director.
Florida Wing Director of Cadet Programs.
Awesome. And then I also understand that you have just won an award.
Yes,
so will you tell me a little bit about that? It's amazing the information we get.
Yes,
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I just saw you. Wait a minute.
I just found out yesterday.
So tell us a little bit about that,
yes,
because we always like to celebrate
that. I am the 2025 Senior Member of the Year for Florida Wing. I'm also the Health Services Officer for the Wing as well. So our Health Services Officers are, first aid for our larger events and our overnight events. So I've been active in both areas, and I just found out yesterday.
Congrats. And on behalf of all of us here at FAN, we want to just say congratulations, because that is truly, truly an honor. So talk a little bit, because I know a lot of people know Civil Air Patrol, and it is the civilian unit of the Air Force. It is a legitimate civilian unit of the Air Force.
Yes, ma'am.
What people may not be aware of are all of the opportunities, especially for young people. And as the director for the Florida Wing, this is your opportunity to talk to not only our audiences, but all of those that they're watching us now live on their phones here at the air show. Talk to us a little bit about those opportunities.
Yes, ma'am.
And what Civil Air Patrol offers.
Yes, ma'am. So we have 3 primary missions: aerospace education, cadet programs, and emergency services. Those are not independent missions. They all overlap. So our cadet program, they have opportunities in aerospace education, whether it's model rocketry, STEM, cyber. We have flight academies that they can attend. My son also, we have a scholarshiping program for cadets to get their PPL, which my son participated in as well. But then at the unit level, at the squadrons, at the local groups, they're doing aerospace education weekly. And the cadets, part of their promotions is to study aerospace education. But then we have the hands-on activities, model rocketry weekends, STEM, we have STEM academies, cyber academies. So we incorporate that aerospace education into the cadets. On the emergency services side, cadets can get their ground team ratings, which is like, think search and rescue.
Yep.
They can get ground team ratings. They can get communication ratings to use our radios during missions.
Okay.
Once they turn 18, they can go up in the planes and get mission scanner and mission observer, where they're looking, they're
Right.
watching our aerial photography.
Right.
So they're on the ground, so they can be tasked with missions. We just recently had an emergency beacon go off. And
Here.
it was in Plant City.
In Plant City,
right?
okay.
And a ground team, a couple of cadets and senior members were tasked out to find and disable the emergency and to turn off the emergency locator beacon.
And hopefully it wasn't a great emergency.
It
That
was not
great.
a great emergency.
That-
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit about, how the sort of the organization and how do people get involved. So if they don't have it, I know we were very lucky here at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. We had our own unit that
Yes, ma'am.
started here. So we were very, very fortunate. And Phil Zdonek might be a name.
Yes,
that comes
yes,
up.
yes.
Colonel Zdonek was certainly certainly inspirational to me. But one of the things, how do people find you? How do
Right.
students find you?
Okay.
And then, so talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Then I've got a million
Okay,
questions going through my mind.
okay.
So talk about that.
So if you go to Go Civil Air Patrol, if you go to the website, or you can stop by our booth and find a QR code for it.
Nice. And where are you located? Where can they find you?
We are straight down that main road as you come in. If you come through the admission, turn right. You can't miss us.
Good.
Two CAP Cessnas sitting right on either side of our recruiting
The red,
booth.
white, and blue.
Yes.
Oh, you can't miss them.
Can't miss them.
Okay.
But you find that local unit, and you have to go in, watch a meeting 3 times. Gives you a chance to see all the things that we offer,
Okay.
the uniforms that we wear, and what a normal meeting would look like, just to see if it's a good fit before you join. And it gives a chance to ask questions and get those answers. After that, then there's an online application that they join, and then they can start attending the unit. They have a promotion series that they work through leadership and education and aerospace education. They do drill and ceremonies, physical training. They'll have safety lessons, emergency services lessons. Perfect. So it's an all-encompassing but they join their local unit.
Okay.
And from there, that's how they get involved in more activities at the local level or at the state level or even national level.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit about one of the things that I'm an educator by trade, so I'm a teacher by trade. And we don't only want to speak to the cadets, and I know that you're part of the cadet program, and I do want to touch on some of the leadership opportunities, but would you feel comfortable speaking maybe to the teachers that are here with groups of students that have field trips here?
Yes.
That, because STEM education is where it's at.
Yes.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. And I can tell you, as an educator, there is not a better curriculum. I can honestly say that. So did you want to speak? Can you speak to the teachers a little bit and how they can key in? And maybe if they're not involved in a unit, but they still can get some of those resources.
Yes. So we have what we call an aerospace education member. I actually was one as a homeschool parent.
Nice.
I had a homeschool co-op, and so I had an AEM membership, and that allowed me to get curriculum and resources, STEM kits, things like that I could bring to our homeschool group, and that opportunity exists for our teachers as well, and that they can join. We even have some school programs called ACE, where they can bring that in. I actually got to meet in Temple Terrace, I guess the school that's up there was the ACE School of the Year last year. So, but they can bring that into the classroom in K through 12. And the bonus too is, as an AEM, you're actually eligible for an orientation ride in one of our Cessnas.
and there's nobody that doesn't. As far as I'm concerned, there's nobody that doesn't like to fly.
Right.
Well, one of the things that you had mentioned, and I love this because we really, not only is Civil Air Patrol part of education and educating students on all of those aspects that you talked about, but it's the leadership. And it's that character and the leadership. And that was probably, for myself, for the students and my own children. That's the key.
Okay.
That is the key about Civil Air Patrol.
It is.
So did you want to speak a little bit about those leadership opportunities and what it offers?
Yes.
What it offers to students?
So we're unique in that at our unit level, a lot of times the cadets are the ones running the squadron. So we joke that the senior members are here to handle the finances, do the signatures, provide the safety net, make sure, keep them in, make sure we're making good decisions, be that safety net when they're not. We say it's also a safe place to fail because that's how you learn.
Right.
And, but our cadets run the meetings. It can be everything from creating the agenda. We have a cadet commander, an exec team, flight sergeants, flight commanders, and support. So you can also serve in support in logistics or public affairs for the unit. So they're getting to do all those things at the unit level and get those leadership opportunities with getting mentoring from each other, from their peers, as well as from their senior members. And that's where I really see the growth is so as they come in, they're just more confident. And then they get to take on little bits at a time. They become more confident. And if you look at our leadership manuals, the Learn to Lead manuals for each phase of the cadet program, it's the same material I got when I went to work for a corporation.
Really?
Yes. So they are getting, if they stick with the program through all phases of the cadet program, they are getting the equivalent of corporate leadership or organizational leadership standards. They are getting stuff that most people don't see until they get into a working environment such as that. And on top of that, we have leadership academies. So Florida runs the Florida Leadership Academy twice a year. It's for your NCOs or your sergeants and above. And then they for students. But we have senior member mentors, adult leader mentors that come in and support us as well. We actually have their own training program if they want to learn to be what we call training officers at encampment, our week-long event.
Yes.
We actually have a class for them as well. So we try to make sure to get training for our adult leaders as well on a routine basis. To make their experience better and so that they can mentor cadets.
Yes.
And then we also have leadership academies. So I'm getting a chance to staff at what we call Cadet Officer School at Maxwell Air Force Base later this summer as an instructor. And we kind of call that the pinnacle of the leadership academies for Civil Air Patrol. And they're independent. So they're coming into the classroom. We have an Air Force counterpart. They're getting education similar to what our Air Force officers are getting on leadership and that same environment with independent study, working through problem solving, and it's an amazing experience for them. And that's where we see the most growth in our cadets is in that leadership area. It also helps because if they complete get their Mitchell, which is getting to their first officer grade, it's one of the bigger milestones. If they go into the Air Force and they enlist, they can go in as an E3.
Really? Okay.
Yep, and it also helps in applications to your military academies and military schools.
Right.
So that is also a perk of working through the cadet program. We have 4 phases, and they work through the NCO ranks, and they work for their officer grades. Then they work for officer grades to get their captain. And then they can work what we call the completion of the program is their lieutenant colonel or their ECR milestone. But there's one on top of that. So the prestigious spots, it's 3 diamonds, and it is basically testing on their entire cadet career education, physical testing as well, and a character essay. And so we just recently had 2 spots cadets here in Florida, and we have several more testing soon. So we're hoping that they'll pass.
That is awesome. Now, are those cadets, I'm always interested in the students, and we're always looking to have people on, and we love to talk to young people. They don't happen to be here at Center.
No, unfortunately, they're not here.
I was hoping they would. Now I understand, so you offer that to the students. My understanding is that you were most recently promoted. So are there any limitations for adults? Because we may have individuals that are interested in aviation. They might be, this is something that they would love to do. They want to get involved with young people. They want to mentor young people. How does, let's just say someone like myself, how would we go to get involved? How can we get involved with Civil Air Patrol?
So very similar. Find a local unit. Come visit us several times. We always love to have our adult members because all our adult members bring different experiences and backgrounds. And you don't have to have a background in aviation.
That's what I was going to ask.
You do not have to.
You don't have to fly. And do you have to have any military background?
No, ma'am. So we want the educators, we want the parents, we want the pilots, we want the whole broad perspective because that's what you bring in to mentor the cadets. And that cadet growth is just amazing, and to see that cadet interaction and the mentoring in the background, especially as they progress. So they visit their local unit. We do have just like the cadets, we have a professional development program. We don't get to rank up quite as quickly as the cadets do. Cadets can move up every 2 months. We have a much longer period in there, but we have an education program as well. So you don't have to know anything. We will train you on how to wear the uniform, just very basic drill. We provide all the trainings on how to work with the cadets, how to work with each other. And you get really cool opportunities. So as a pilot, if you come in as a pilot, you can fly with missions, with emergency services. You can also eventually do orientation flights where we take the cadets. Each cadet gets 5 orientation flights that they get to go up in the Cessnas and see if this is what they want to do, and they get to take controls. And I will say the impact that you make,
it's huge.
My son, when he went in, had no idea. He just thought it looked cool. CAP was cool. He went up on his orientation flight right before COVID. 2 years later, he came back to me and he said, "Mom, I want to be a pilot." And I'm like, "Where did this come from?" And he's like, "My orientation flight." I'm like, "That was 2 years ago." And he's like, "Well, I looked at it and you can't get your pilot's license till 16 and a half. So, I was waiting until I got closer." I mean, he actually did his own research. So to see, again, we promote that leadership and independent study. And so he went to a flight academy, got his solo, and then got the scholarship for wings. And so that was a substantial amount that has been covered that CAP and the Ray Foundation and the Air Force have helped fund.
Fantastic.
So, but it all came back to that orientation pilot. When I asked, I said, "What made you?" He's like, "Mom, the orientation flight and that pilot, he just made it an amazing experience." And he's actually on our poster board out there with that orientation flight. So that's the impact you make. You can change a cadet's direction and focus. On the other side, if you're helping out with a unit, we can find anything. You want to help with finances, you want to help with just checking people in.
Yes, finance people, accountants, people with
and if your
accounting
accountant
background.
doesn't want to do that and he wants to go learn how to do emergency services, we've seen people come in, have no emergency services background, and now they are rocking it and they are out there with the cadets and working through emergency services. So there are tons of opportunities making that impact, and you get to do the cool stuff too. I've been up in a KC-135. I've been on 2 Black Hawk rides. I've gotten the back scenes of Cape Canaveral. So that's the joy, is that you get the fun stuff too.
And I want you to know your passion is absolutely palpable. Now I have to ask you, do you fly? Are you a pilot?
I am not. I had wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yes.
My scoliosis kept me out of the military. In college, I did ground school. But I did it my senior year, and you have a set amount of time before you have to finish your. And when you first get out of college, it's not like rolling in the dough, right? So yeah.
I remember.
I just never did it, and life happened. And so. But that's something that I still love to do. And my dad was a helicopter pilot, and so I love flying. And now I see that passion in my son, and that's
awesome.
enough.
And so now where is he? I've got to ask. So where has he completed his PPL? What does he want? And what does he want to do? Is he a senior? Is he in college?
So
what does he want to do?
He is a freshman in college here at USF.
Nice. Go Bulls.
Yeah, go Bulls.
Absolutely.
So he is still actively involved with the unit. He's actually helping us start a squadron down in Waimama, a new squadron in Waimama.
Nice.
And so he is in Air Force ROTC at USF. He's on their honor guard. That's another thing. We have a color guard competition that cadets can do.
Fantastic.
And he got interested in that through CAP, and he's now on the honor guard for USF. So he is waiting on his check ride. So that's the next step for him, is going to be his check ride.
Well, we are going to wish him well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I always like to end, especially with an educator. You've got an educator's heart. You're a teacher's teacher. And I want to say thank you for all that you do, not only for the cadets, but for the adults. Is there one last, what would you tell the people listening? What would you tell students? What would you tell our viewers and those that are listening? Is there something inspirational? How would you? The biggest thing that I see that we notice in CAP, and this can be true whether or not you're in Civil Air Patrol or anything else, you can do the hard stuff. You can do the hard stuff. And Civil Air Patrol teaches a lot of that, and it inspires and it gives confidence, but you can do the hard stuff. It may seem insurmountable, but you can do it. It's Angela Duckworth. It's great. We can do it. Well, Captain Beebe, it has been a true honor and a pleasure. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for coming in, and thank you for all that you do. And we just, please make sure that you go see her. We want you to go to the booths
Yes, ma'am.
and go see and talk. Even if, like I said, no matter what, educators, students, parents, homeschool parents, please go to the Civil Air Patrol booth right down there at the end. You can't miss them, and go see Captain Beebe. And I want to say thank you again for joining us. It has been an absolute joy and pleasure. We are celebrating 52 years of Sun and Fun. We are red, white, and blue in 52. My name is Lori Bradner. I'm with the Florida Aviation Network, where we are broadcasting live and in the clear from Sun and Fun. We look forward to seeing you here.